companies, and then we will ask our stakeholders. Si Grace has been a very helpful resource person to the committee and also to various committees here. So we will also hear the comments of our independent stakeholders to give us their peace of mind. With that, we will start with the Deputy Commissioner Caballos, and please give us your comments on this bill and also the other things related to the said bill.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. NTC since the mid 2005-2006 was already thinking of coming up with circular on mobile number portability, particularly mobile number portability, to allow subscribers to move from one network operator to another. So we created a technical working group at the time, 2007, February 2007, composed of PTEF, the Organization of Electronic Telecoms companies and individuals. Of course, the industry players at the time, there were three, Smart, Globe, and Digital, or Sun Cellular at the time. And we also have a representative from the users group. The users group at that time was represented by TUGP, Telecom Users Group of the Philippines at that time. And the output of the technical working group, they were of the opinion that it is necessary, but they have not come up with consensus on how the costs will be shared. So it really boils down on cost, because technical solutions are already available. There are applications that are available already and much improved at this time. But really the question is, who will shoulder the cost? And if you come up with one database provider, who will choose the database provider if you come up with only one? So these are the issues that were raised at the time, and no consensus was arrived at. And there were several bills filed in Congress, and we supported the enactment of a bill of a law that would mandate mobile number portability, so that if that law would mandate the cost to be shouldered by the players in the industry, so be it. Mas mabuti po yun. So that if the Commission would just issue a circular, it can be challenged before RTC. If the Commission would just say it will be shouldered by the telcos, by the players, it may be challenged before the RTC. So it would be best if it is a law, Your Honor. So we, of course, support the enactment of a law on mandating mobile number portability. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, DEPCOM. DEPCOM, can you walk us through on I know this is going to be very technical, no? But in a layman's from a layman's understanding, paano po gagawin itong number portability? I've read some literature on the internet describing mobile number portability and how it will be implemented. However, those literature pertains to fixed line, no? I think in the States, pwede na yatang fixed line, ipo-portable nila yung landline. Pero to date, no, in 2017, with the technology available to all of us, no, whether it's a telecom or sa consumers, paano po i-execute itong ganitong service para sa ating consumers? Can you walk us through, very simple lang, in a layman, in layman terms, how do you execute a mobile number portability?
Well, Your Honor, if you want to your number to be ported, you register, and your number would be listed in what they call the database of ported numbers. So every time a call is directed to you, the system will look at the database and see where you are, what network you are in, and the call is routed to the network that you are in already, from the original network to the new network. And so the call is completed. So that process is handled by an application or software developed by, of course, vendors in the industry. So, and this entails cost. There are technical solutions. Very technical solutions can be agreed, so it is easy. But what matters much really is the cost. No? Who will shoulder that cost? For it is much easier for fixed because the subscriber does not move anyway. So in a mobile network, you have to know where that subscriber is. So the network should know where the subscriber is when a call is destined to that subscriber. So what the system do is it looks at the database of the ported number and then route the call to that one, and then the network would determine where that subscriber is within its network, and the call is routed to that one. So it takes quite some time. Of course, not the normal call, because this is a call to a ported number. So it takes a little more time to establish the call between a number and a ported number. So ito lang po yun. There are technical solutions available already.
Dotcom, you mentioned yung database, no? Who will own and operate the database?
It can be by a third party to a third party, or it can be them. They establish their own databases. Yung nga lang, magdo-W siya eh. So, of course, the best solution is to come up with only one. So, all calls, it check muna doon sa database of ported numbers, so that the network knows where the number is ported, kung saan network siya, so that the call is routed to that network. So, pwede hong dalawa, kasi dalawa lang sila. Kung tatlong sets of databases, pero kung isa lang, mas mabuti. Kung mas maraming players, it is best kung isa lang yung nagme-maintain ng database. So yung nga lang, of course, operations noon, babayaran, etc. Ito yung kwan.
Kung may other countries, no? Ganito ba yung kanilang setup? May independent database? I'm assuming this database is to a certain extent, it's an independent database, no? Ganyan ba yung setup po sa ibang bansa?
Most countries, yes. Meron po silang single entity handling the database of ported numbers.
And this database, in other countries, who operates and maintain the database?
In some countries, consortium po yun. Pwedeng consortium, pwede rin a third party. Yun nga lang, in the Philippines, it would, kung gagawin nyo, it's not a consortium, it will be, if it is government that would set that up, ipapabid po yun, etc. So it takes quite some time doing that. But mas mabuti kung they come up with a consortium, all players come up with a consortium, and assign that consortium to be the database operator.
The NTC can regulate this database operation? It's part of the regulatory powers of NTC. So you can issue let's say, guidelines on how to set up a database, and you can regulate that database.
Yes, Your Honor, because part of the network is part of the operations of the telecoms companies network, so it is part of our regulatory power, Your Honor.
And that's yun po yung susi in database. Without that database, this portability cannot happen.
Yes, Your Honor. It
yun
has
po ang
to repair to that database of ported numbers.
In our proposal, we never mentioned that database operation. Do we need to include that in the law, or pwede na ho through an IRR?
Pwede on is IRR.
Do you see any legal impediment in the future regarding NTC's regulatory oversight over that database?
I think because it is mandated by law, so the Commission has that mandate already to come up with rules to implement the law. So pwede naman ganun. Pwede nang ganun. So I cannot think of any issue that may be raised before the RTC questioning that authority.
Okay. Itong database, DepCom, it's the same as the clearinghouse, or the same as clearinghouse?
Yes, Your Honor, it's the same.
Yes. That's the same jargon, no? Let's talk about costs, DepCom. Right now, 2017, technology related to number portability is abundant. Different vendors offering different software, different hardwares. Magkano ang cost na tinitignan natin to set up that database?
Well, I do not have the idea, Your Honor, but of course, it has improved already, and prices might have gone down from the time we had set up the TWG, the 2007, is 10 years now, yeah. So it may have gone down already.
But the top of mind lang, DepCom, will it be affordable to both the sasabihin ko ngayon both muna, no, because I want to keep this open, both to the consumer and both to the telco and to the industry as a whole? Is it going to be affordable? Because I remember in 2008, cost was the main issue. It's prohibitive. But right now, to the industry, both consumer and both service providers, is it affordable already? Off top lang po, based on your experience.
Your Honor, if it will be the telco shouldering that cost, naturally they will pass it on to the consumers in whatever manner. The contribution by subscribers may pwede masyado na mababa because we are looking at 130 million na SIM cards in operation. So the contribution per subscriber may be very low already. No? Yung nga lang, if itong cost na to, yun lang mga magsusubscribe, the supported numbers, medyo mataas ko yun. So baka walang mag-subscribe na sa number portability kung sila ang magsosoldo.
But off top lang, do you think at this time it will be viable, this concept? Kasi we can enact the law, pero dating sa dulo, it will be again a cost discussion. And we don't want a scenario wherein this will hit a roadblock because of prohibitive costs. So 10 years ago and now is totally different in the eyes of the telecom industry. So ang tanong ko lang naman, DepCom, from your experience, I'm looking at different technology, ito ba ay magiging feasible and viable at this time in 2017 or maybe 2018 when we implement this?
Well, as far as the question is concerned, we are looking at this in the point of view of enhancing competitive marketplace. So while there is the cost can be shared by all subscribers. Kasi ang kwan dyan is, if there is effective competitive marketplace, who will benefit? Also the subscribers will benefit. So the contribution by each subscriber may be lower, no? Because of the number of subscribers. So I think magiging viable naman itong NMP o mobile number portability.
Depco, we've been hearing a lot of itong third player coming in, maraming interested sa market natin dahil malaki. Will this type of service, itong mobile number portability, will it attract third or even a fourth player to come in the Philippine market?
Yes, Your Honor, because we're looking at if the market or we call it saturated na. So a new player coming in will have to get subscribers from the existing players, and the only way he can do that if he can get subscribers from one network going to his network without changing the number. So it would be easier for a third or even more players to enter the market kung meron ho ito.
Yeah. Depcom, have you, sa ibang literature sa US, one of the, I read somewhere here that almost 83% of subscribers don't like to transfer to another network because of they cannot bring their numbers, or the hassle of changing numbers and telling everyone what their new numbers are, So there's really a big roadblock, in terms of transferring network. And they think maraming subscriber, almost 83%, are saying that I would rather stay with my old telecom provider even though mas mahal siya kaysa lumipat ako sa ibang telecom dahil nga I don't want to change my numbers. Do you have that type of survey in NTC saying that in the Philippine setting people are not transferring from one telco to the other because of the lack of this feature? Meron ba tayong ganun na mga survey?
We do not have that data. But in 2007, there were only less than 2 million postpaid subscribers at the time. Now it is estimated to be around between 4 to 5 million. So tumaas na rin po siya, So the probability of those who would subscribe to number portability, the number will be higher this time.
Depcom, itong dito sa bill namin, we didn't make it an option, it's a feature that is given to all, So whether postpaid ka or prepaid ka, it's a feature that's given to you automatically. Is that a good strategy? Sa ibang mga countries kasi it's an option, Pero dito sa ginawa natin, ano na yan? Kumbaga bigay na yan sa'yo as a feature. Which is better po, an option or a regular feature? Itong mobile number portability.
Well, if it is a regular feature, depende rin sa subscriber if he wants to subscribe to a ported number. So,
kasi ang understanding ko, for example, prepaid to postpaid, you cannot bring your, the telcos are here, but they can correct me if I'm wrong. But from what I understand, from prepaid to postpaid, you cannot bring your number. Or if you change from different type of prepaid ka, pero iba-ibang value or iba-ibang I guess iba-ibang enhancements, you have to change your numbers, that's why ang idea namin is a regular feature na para kahit ano man, prepaid, lumipat ka prepaid, postpaid, or prepaid high value, prepaid low value, whatever it is, it's your dala-dala mo na yan, So that is actually the rationale behind it.
I think ang ginagawa kasi nila, meron silang number blocks for postpaid, number blocks for prepaid. Yung production ng SIM cards kasi yan doon sa kanilang ginagawa. But of course, if it is open also to prepaid, mabuti rin, if it is open to prepaid. So anybody could use his number, transferring from one network to another. So,
that come out to a little technical, no? Yung prefix kasi merong, diba, 0917 Globe, 0918 Smart, no? And I understand the numbers that follow is actually a representation of some technological, or geographic or technological representation. Ngayon, since portable na yan, paano ho itong mga 0917, 0918? Anong mangyayari ho doon?
Well, they will remain, no? Kasi ang numero mo is 917, etc. You retain that number when you go to another network. The same number. Malalaman ho kasi, meron na kasing network ID yung mga yan. So, the system would know kung saan ka network galing, kung ported number yan. Because a number, say, globe number, meron hong network ID na pagka inon mo yan, may network ID siya. So, alam nung, halimbawa, alam nung Smart na globe yan kasi because of the network ID. So, alam nila.
Giging wala ng saysay itong 0918, 0917 because once you are given a number, regardless whether you're Globe or Smart, you can move around, no?
Yes.
You carry that number.
Yes, Your Honor.
So
you use the same number. Yeah.
But ibig ko sabihin, hindi na ho magiging, wala nang meaning ho yung 0918, 0917. In other words.
Yes, hindi ka na Globe, hindi ka na, or kung Globe ka, Globe ka iba, yun, no, Smart subscriber, the same number.
The same number, okay. And technologically, wala na hong barrier for that. From your experience,
yes,
pwede na hong gawin ho yan.
Pwede nang gawin yan,
okay,
yes.
sige po. In the law, I'll dive a little bit in the law. No? In the law, it's actually a very simple, straightforward law, but we also identified yung donor-provider, recipient-provider. We provided a general framework, no, so that when NTC implements a law, there's a general framework already. Are you amenable to the general framework that we have provided? If you also notice, we put a lot of emphasis on the timetable, no? Within 24 hours, dapat ma-activate na yan para, merong time series at mabilis, no? Kayo ho, are you amenable to the provisions of the law, or do you have any recommendation to change or to fine-tune the proposed law? Or sa technical working group na?
I think doon na ho siguro sa
Technical working group. Yes. Sige po. Ang request ko lang, DepCom, please look at the law. It's very simple. It's only 5 pages. Kung meron ho kayong gustong idagdag, ibawas, i-fine-tune, just let us know. We'll have a technical working group naman later on. Okay.
Yes, Honor, yes.
Anything, DepCom, to add? Or?
Well, ang sabi nga natin, the Commission supports this one. The Commission is of the view that only when there is effective competitive marketplace that you can deliver to the consumers the best service, quality service at reasonable prices, market-based prices.
Thank you, DepCom. Let's now go to PCC. Any comments, reaction?
Your Honor, first of all, we want to thank you for inviting us to look into the competition dimension of the SB, the Senate bill on mobile number portability. The idea of having portability is really promising since it aims to primarily empower the consumers right now, as it stands, we know that the consumers have the option between being a subscriber of Company A or Company B or both, but their exercise of the options appears to be hampered by the lack of portability. We call this the switching cost. We think, Your Honor, that as we read this proposed law, that this will empower the consumers, and almost always, when we empower the consumers, this will improve the competition in the telecommunications market. This may prompt the existing telecommunications company to lower the prices, or this may prompt them to improve the services, or as discussed earlier, this may encourage a new entrant to the market because of the decrease in the switching costs. Now with me is our senior economist, Philip Libre, to discuss the competition issues in the mobile number portability.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. For the PCC, we will be submitting a official position on this Senate bill, but just a short discussion that we have identified at least two competition issues that in the mobile telecommunications market that the proposed bill can potentially address. This is, which was already mentioned, the switching cost, and the other one is the network effects. So switching costs were already familiar. It's the cost that customers incur if they switch from one network service provider to another, and this may take the form of monetary or non-monetary costs. For instance, subscribers are locked into, to some extent, into their mobile numbers, since switching networks would require them to inform all their contacts that they've changed their numbers. Additionally, several mobile applications which are commonly used nowadays, such as Viber, WhatsApp, Facebook, and several other social media platforms, use mobile phone numbers as account identifiers as well, which means switching to another network may lead to a temporary loss of the same level of connectivity to these platforms. Additionally, on the other hand, the network effects refer to the phenomena where products or services become more valuable to consumers the more users of the specific product or service there are. Due to network effects, any potential entrant will have to establish a sufficiently large subscriber base in order to effectively compete with incumbents. So we were talking about the possible entry of a third player or a fourth player. We believe that the mobile number portability will go a long way, along with interconnectivity, such that together these two measures would contribute to reducing entry barriers brought about by network effects, and may also enhance the network effects, which is actually an efficiency improvement, by allowing service providers to tap to a larger subscriber base beyond their own networks. The larger base also increases the value of the service to consumers, regardless of the service providers, as they become part of a larger network. So ultimately, from our perspective, it enhances competition and enhances consumer welfare. That's all, Your Honor.
How do you define network effects? You said two issues, no? Switching cost and network effects. And can you give us let's say, a real-world example of network?
So network effects, maybe the most common idea would be, imagine using a social media platform such as Facebook. The value of Facebook being in part of a social media platform is the number of users there are. If there are only 100,000 users, and your neighbors or your high school classmates or college friends are not in the network, it's not of much value to you. But the more users there are in that network, the more valuable it becomes. So that's the idea behind network effect. And while it is generally efficiency improving, if you limit that network, if an incumbent has control of that network, it's difficult for a third player or a new player to entice players, even with a better service, simply because mas malaki yung subscriber base of an existing network.
From a competition standpoint, can you give us, I don't know if you've done your research, but can you give us examples from other jurisdictions wherein pre-mobile number portability and then post-mortal mobile number portability, how did it enhance competition and how did it translate to at the end of the day, gusto natin benefit to the consumers. How did it translate to benefit to consumers? Meron ba kayong ganun na examples?
We're still in the process of trying to browse and look through the literature on mobile number portability, but as of now, we've found at least one. It was a study of 15, although these are EU countries, between 1999 and 2006, because around 2001 or 2002, the European Commission had introduced a supranational law requiring mobile number portability for several EU countries, and they found that
When you say requiring, that's legislated.
I'm not sure how it exactly works, but the European Commission, I don't know if it's mandatory, but generally most EU countries have mobile number portabilities, and it was triggered by 2000 or 2002 European Commission directive. So they found that between 1999 and 2006, the introduction of mobile number portability decreased market price by at least 4% and increased consumer surplus, although we haven't looked yet thoroughly on the methodology, but they found that it increased consumer surplus by 2.15 euros per quarter per subscriber. So, but we will look more into empirical studies regarding mobile number portability, Your Honor.
From again, from the competition standpoint, I don't know if you have interacted with potential third party or third player coming in and or even more. Have you discussed with them what are the barriers to entry? Kung meron ba kayong ganong interaction with potential third player or even fourth player?
Your Honor, as of now, we haven't had an interaction with the potential new player. However, we are in the process of building a library of market studies, and among the topics that we are going to tackle is the telecommunications industry, and we look forward to providing more information on the market and on the existing barriers to entry in this industry, Your Honor.
How about best practices in other jurisdictions regarding their telecom industry? I'm sure kagaya kanina, EU was mentioned, no? And I would assume EU being much more advanced economy, we see a lot of best practices. Or even, in fact, if you browse through the literature, mga developing nations, even third world nations, have this type of feature. Meron ba kayong nakitang mga best practices in their telecom industry? And also, is mobile number portability considered a best practice in a telecom industry? Meron ba kayong mga nakitang ganun?
Your Honor, as of now, no literature as of now.
Sige. I think this concept is quite new, no, to us. But definitely one of the I would really I can really foresee that the impact to competition will be vast and productive. So I'd like to urge PCC to take a look at this measure and study the measure carefully, both economically, both impact to industry, and both competition angle. We have to look at the other jurisdictions also, yung experiences nila, best practices nila. Because at the end of the day, aside from, in theory, alam natin beneficial to sa customers. But from a competition standpoint, will that theory translate to reality? Dapat ma-feel ng consumers natin na ito diba? Baka may portability naman, wala naman impact sa presyo, ganun pa rin yung serbisyo, mabagal pa rin or what, no? So we have to look at the experiences from other jurisdictions, and I guess that's a competition question. All right, thank you. We go to the telecom companies. We'll start with Smart, sir.
Uh, Good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you for inviting us to be here today. While we interpose no objection to the proposed bill, I just don't know if this is the venue. But we actually just want to study the impact of certain provisions, no, and we don't know if this would be the proper venue to raise them, or I believe there will be a technical working group.
Attorney, we can actually discuss the some of the details, no, broadly, and then later on when we go into the technical working group, that's the venue to actually scrutinize those proposals. But we can talk about it broadly, and then later on have also questions regarding the technicals, and both telecom companies can actually answer to that. No? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. The first topic or issue was actually raised already by the good Deputy Commissioner Cabarios, which is there will probably be the necessity for a third party or a clearinghouse to properly implement this. The second is there's a provision that portability, the number to be ported should be implemented within 24 hours. Our concern here is that there are also other issues, no, aside from just simply porting, such as the personal information of the subscriber. No? So those issues also probably have to be addressed in the technical working group, whether the subscriber would like to destroy his personal data within the donor network, or port, no, because it's a right under the data privacy law that you can port also your personal information. So if in the case that the subscriber would like to port his personal data to the recipient network, then probably 24 hours would be such a short time, no, to gather all his information and to port them to the recipient network. And another also is the cost. It says that it should be free. Well, our observation is that sometimes, or most of the time when it's free, it tends to be abused. So maybe a nominal fee or a service fee can be charged, no? Not really to exact revenues out of it, but simply just to make it, stress the point to the consumer that you can't port today and then after next month you port again and then you port again, you keep on porting. And that's probably just one consideration also that we might want to study, Mr. Chair. I guess that's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Sige. Later on, I'll have questions, but mostly, and it is technicals on both networks. But I would like to hear Globe first, no? So later on, we can talk about the details of the technicalities.
Yeah, good morning.
Attorney.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the invitation. We share actually the observations of SMART regarding the issues raised. And besides, mobile number portability is now being required in some of the franchises given out by Congress recently. And probably henceforth, Congress will require more mobile portability obligations in the subsequent franchises to be granted. And having a law, general law, requiring all telcos, even those whose franchises do not contain that obligatory MNP, will now have to comply with the MNP law. And furthermore, Your Honor, I humbly suggest that perhaps if there will be a next hearing, we can invite potential vendors to get a handle of the cost, the prevailing cost of providing mobile number portability, because I understand that the ideal situation would be for the third-party clearinghouse to host the MNP. And speaking of host, it will be a disincentive for the porting operator not to have cost, because they will practically be offering the services for free. And perhaps, yeah, I agree with the premise that this will ease entry barriers, this will lower switching cost, but at the same time, I think there should also be concomitant changes in the way handsets are locked into certain operator. Maybe it would help if we require the manufacturers, after the holding period in the contracts expires, to require the manufacturers like Samsung or Apple to unlock the mobile phone. So actually this will ease the port, because even if they port, if the handset are still locked with the operator, they have to buy another handset, and it will practically negate that the cost of switching to another operator. And furthermore, Your Honor, with respect to the what do you call this, the timetable given, I think that 24 hours is too short, considering the many procedures described by DEPCOM Caballos a while ago. And also the data privacy issues raised by Smart a while ago. I agree with the premise that the subscriber will port all his data from his host operator to the receiving operator. It's a right granted under the Data Privacy Act. But maybe perhaps once the porting is granted, this should relieve the donor entity of all obligations under the Data Privacy Act, and this obligation now will be transferred to the receiving party, Your Honor.
Thank you, Attorney. Is Globe supportive of this measure?
Yes, Your Honor.
For both telecoms, no, this is a question that anyone can answer now. Can you, because to date, dalawa lang ang telecom eh, no? So even though we have this law, it's actually just a ping pong between both Globe and Smart to date. Can you walk us through, again, no, in layman terms, how do you actually execute? Oh, this is behind the scenes, ha? Sa consumer, mabilis lang eh. This is behind the scenes. How do you execute such a feature, a mobile number portability? What type of technology do we need? What type of setup do we need? What type of, if there's a database center or a third-party clearinghouse, ano yung mga ganito bang kailangan natin? Can you walk us through so we would understand behind the scenes what are the technological or the technology that we need to put in place before we execute mobile number portability?
Mr. Chair, I would like to beg your indulgence because as much as I really would love to answer your question, I'm not technically adept at answering those technical questions. If we'll be given the chance in the technical committee, I will bring an engineer who will probably more qualified to answer.
So there's an association between the telecoms, no? And this kasi will be, when we implement this, obviously, dalawa kayo ang magiging stakeholders in this bill. May we request a joint walkthrough, no, from your technicals on how to execute this type of technology. Ito yun na yung kumbaga behind the scenes technological walkthrough kung paano natin execute to, because we also need to understand, no? In concept, it's easy, no? Akin yung number, lipat ko. But ano yung mga technology that we need to put in place? What are the procedures that we need to put in place? And also the cost, no? I don't know if you can give us an answer on the cost right now, but definitely the cost is a main issue of this bill. So we would request from both of you a walkthrough of the technology that we need to put in place and also the cost and the procedures na rin on how to go about it. Yeah. Attorney, anyone from the telecom, can you give us a top of mind answer on the cost? Will this be viable? Will this be prohibitive? Meron ba kayong any idea related to that?
Your Honor, before this hearing, I researched on the existing cost in other jurisdictions, and I found that in India, the cost of porting would be 19 rupees, which is roughly equivalent to about 16 pesos for porting. But I remember that India has a large population. I don't know if we have that same critical mass to support a porting operator. But nevertheless, Your Honor, if, as I earlier suggested, if we perhaps invite potential providers for a clearinghouse, then perhaps we can get a handle, more accurate handle on how much is the cost for porting, Your Honor.
Yung the idea of this bill is the portability is just ganun lang yung parang naiisip kong setup dito. But I do agree that that database, if it's going to be a consortium, should not be yun in other countries. Meron ba silang binabayad when they port, or is it a feature that they also subscribe to? For example, may mga proposals kasi na optional yung portability. Nasa iyo kung gusto mo maging portable, kung portable yung number mo or hindi. And you pay for that, no? But in other jurisdictions, what is the concept of this type of feature?
Sir, so there are certain limitations that can be set so that the cost would also not be prohibited, where there's an interface for the subscriber to see the speed of the data plan that you're on, as well as the data consumption. But for some reason, that feature is no longer available now. So my point here is, if these features were available before, and the cost was not passed on to consumers, or at least I did not see it as a postpaid subscriber passed on to me. So how come we cannot talk about adding features that are pro-consumer now without the fear of the cost being passed on to consumers? Thank you.
Again, going back, same question with PCC, mga best practices abroad. Have you looked at other jurisdictions in terms of best practices, number portability wise, and other features that nakakabit dito sa number portability? Have you looked at best practices in the telecom industry that we can emulate here in the Philippines? Number portability, of course, one, but other than number portability, I'm sure marami siyang nakakabit doon, no? Have you seen any of those best practices?
Sir, we can supply you with a study on best practices, but one feature that I did see in other countries is that you can port from postpaid to prepaid. And considering that Filipinos are mostly on prepaid, then it would be very important to have to make sure that that feature among prepaid subscribers would be offered in the law. Kasi if we're talking about postpaid, as Depcom Egay mentioned, it's about 4 to 5 million, but our prepaid subscribers would already be over 100 million. Tama ba, sir? So there has to be emphasis on the features that are critical for prepaid subscribers.
All right. Anything that you want to add or fine-tune in the bill? Grace, do you have any comments regarding the bill itself? Are you kasi you represent both the consumers and also the industry, no?
Sir, mostly the consumers.
Mostly the consumers. You represent the consumers. We put in general frameworks, no, to make sure that the NTC is guided within the framework. Do you have any comments regarding the bill itself, and do you have any fine-tuning that you want to propose in the bill?
Sir, siguro po just a general provision on the database, kasi nga it's not in the bill, and which is very important. And as we've mentioned throughout the hearing, the maintenance of that database would probably be the most critical consideration in terms of the cost. So I think there should be a guideline on that in the bill. Thank you.
Depcom, babalik lang ako ng konti sa inyo, no? Itong mga numbers, no? When we give out, itong mga numero na binibigay sa cellphone, sino ang nagbibigay?
Yun yung access, network access code, NTC po yan. Yung 09XX, NTC po yan. But all the others sila na. Yes, sir.
So you give them the access in, for example, Globe 0917. And then yung, I think 7 numbers yung kasunod nun eh. Sila na bahala nun. So they can dictate what number to give to the consumers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. But legally, who owns those numbers?
Numbers are owned by the state ho yan. Like frequencies, these are resources, limited resources that are owned and administered by the state.
So every number being given out to a consumer is actually owned by the state.
Yes, privilege lang ho yung binibigay sa kanila.
Privilege yung binibigay sa telco o binibigay sa consumer.
And the consumer, privilege lang ho using the number.
So privilege lang ng privilege ng consumer na binibigay ng state. Ganun ang konsepto nito.
Yes, Your Honor.
So the state can take the number back anytime.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And it can also give out added privileges such as portability.
Yes, Your Honor.
Alright. Sige po. And then, let me ask again the telecom companies. No, we've been talking about the database. I don't know if you can answer this now, no? But itong number portability, can we do it without the database between you two? Ay, sorry. Okay. I recognize the presence of Senator Trillanes. Thank you. Thank you. Gulat ako.
Ang quorum lang. Mr. Chair, I don't think it would be possible to implement this without the establishment of a database.
So hindi pwedeng walang database. For example, dalawa lang naman kayo. Can we do it without that third-party database? Some form of technology connection or connectivity?
Mr. Chair, I think as accurately pointed out by the good Deputy Commissioner, the establishment therefore would be, we establish a database of all numbers, including the Globe numbers, and ours, Globe will also do the same, so there'll be duplication. And then eventually, if a third player comes in, or a fourth player, then they'll have to do the same if we start out that path. No? But if we at least, from the very beginning, start with a third party that will maintain a database, even when such time that a third, a fourth, or fifth player comes in, then it will be easier because there will be just a single third party that keeps the database for all.
The reason why I ask who gives out the numbers, because precisely the person, I guess the entity who gives out the numbers, control the database. Tama? So, for example, if Globe gives out the numbers, obviously I have the control of the database of that number and whatever the details that entails in that number. No? For example, the address, I don't know kung kinukuha nyo age, no? Age, address, whatever. No? So for example ako, 0917XXX, postpaid ako eh. So andun na rin yung database ng aking postpaid. And whoever telecom provider who gave out that number is also in control of that database. Tama? Ganun ang setup natin, di ba? DepCom?
Yun hong database only of the ported numbers, hindi po yung details. Hindi yung details ng
hindi pa
subscribers, hindi.
Okay.
The one that maintains if it is a third party, only the ported numbers. So,
but the ported numbers is also connected to some form of name or detail, di ba?
Hindi ho, yung detail nasa telco na ho yun.
Nasa telco na siya.
Kung sabi nga
so ano yung
kanina,
nasa database na...
Just the number.
Just the number lang. Okay. But right now, is it correct to say that whoever gives out the number has some form of data or information? Tama?
Yes, yung original ho siya, kung siya naroon ho yung data niya.
Data. But that will not be ported?
That will not be ported. Pwede yung ilipat yun doon sa lilipatan niyang network, pero hindi doon sa database nung third party, hindi doon.
Okay. Yun yung clear. So, ulitin ko ho, no? So, Globe Smart, may number and then may data. But yung sa gitna, which is the third party, number lang to. And then when you port from one telco to the other, you bring with you the data also, your address, your age, your
Yun po yung dapat mapakwan doon sa IRR,
Okay.
Technical Working Group.
So yun yung pag-uusapan pa.
Yes,
Yun pa yung pag-uusapan. Alright, sige po. Alright. We also want to hear comments from DICT.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. As of now, Your Honor, we don't have a consolidated position on the proposed measure yet. We would like to wait for some of our senior officials who are on official travel abroad. And actually, particularly USEC Villorente, who I've had initial discussions on number portability before. So we'd like to ask for some time to submit our position paper, Your Honor.
You said, attorney, that you discussed with him number portability.
Yes, Your Honor, but...
On your personal capacity yun?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what was the, ano ba ang, is there any general direction with number portability since you discussed it before? Is it
Well, Your Honor, we
general
were...
direction?
yes. We were... it was during a hearing on House Bill regarding SIM card registration. And the opportunity came up to discuss number portability, which he felt, unofficially, Your Honor, he was, we were of the position that it should be considered here in the Philippines because I understand in the US it's as easy as making a call to your service provider, and it takes like 5 minutes to transfer your number to another network. We were you mentioned that maybe it's time to consider implementing that measure in the Philippines, but nothing concrete was decided yet, Your Honor.
And then during that quick discussion, meron ba kayong na-discuss about the setup? Meron kayong any idea on how the setup should be? And this is from DITC standpoint, no? Alam ko NTC is under DITC, tama? So
Yes, Your Honor.
I just want to know independently from DICT standpoint kung ano yung setup na naiisip nyo.
Well, nothing concrete was discussed yet, Your Honor. We were hoping to consolidate our position first and wait for maybe USEC Villorente first before we announce our official comments and position on the proposed measure. But I think one issue that came up, Your Honor, was yung the prefixes, Your Honor.
That
Yes.
earlier. But anong concern, attorney?
We were concerned, no, about the effect on since the prefixes are owned by the separate telcos and are exclusive to either. We had that idea.
Kanina
May assignment pa.
well, the central database will solve that
okay.
complication.
Yes, Your
That's the
Honor.
way I understand it from DEPCOM.
Yes,
That's
Your
why, the way I understand it right now, one of the most vital technology that will be introduced is that third party or that central database. No? In the absence of a general term, yung central database that will hold all of the numbers. That's the way I understand it, no, from NTC.
Yes, Your Honor. I haven't had the opportunity to raise the issue of central database with the ICT Execom, Your Honor. But I will relay the matter to them, and be assured that we will consider we consider the comments and the suggestions of DEPCOM Cabarrios, and we will submit our official position paper, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney. Um, for me, almost na tanong ko na lahat ng mga um, gusto namin itanong. Any last comments or any comments from the stakeholders, the telcos, the consumer groups, government agencies? Any last comments po? Wala naman po ako narinig na violent reaction on the bill. So I think the next meeting will be a technical working group already, since we have general support on the bill. But that technical working group, we will also allocate time for the telcos to demonstrate to us the technical side of the setup. No? Again, this seems like a very simple concept, but behind the scenes, when you start executing it, it's a much larger picture than what it seems. So we will allocate ample time for the telcos to demonstrate to the committee the technology side and the setup side of the mobile number portability. At the same time, we will also await the responses from the ICT and also from PCC. No, I think you're please furnish us your studies also from the competition angle, because we also need to justify on the benefits in terms of competition to the consumers. No? And also, Grace, if you can furnish us also some of your studies regarding this matter. Again, ang importante dito, ma-feel ng consumers natin. Let's go beyond the concepts, no? But we really have to demonstrate how the consumers will benefit from this in terms of price and service. No? So with that, please submit to us your position paper on or before November 28. But we have pegged November 28 as the day of our technical working group. 9 a.m. rin po, the same venue. All right, so anything that you want to submit to us, just feel free to submit to us your position papers, your studies, and also other issues that you have in mind. And to the telcos, marami ho kayong mga legal suggestions. Feel free to include that in your position papers para bago tayo mag-technical working group, we can consider it already. No? If we can already include it in the revised bill, then so much the better. All right, with that, thank you very much po for your participation and for your really productive inputs. And we'll see you again on November 28, 9 a.m. for the technical working group. Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned.